Greetings, my fellow gamers! Thank you so much for tuning in. You're watching Get Rexx't, and welcome back to Let's Quest episode 41. Now, for today's episode of Let's Quest, I decided to do something a bit out of the box, something a bit new for the channel, but I think it's going to become something which, how to put it quickly, it might get a bit more common here at my channel in future times, but at the moment I'm just gonna have it instilled as a new thing. But yeah, without wasting too much time, I'm gonna get started. And today's video, as the title suggests, is going to be about, once again, it's going to be about something in regards with the Legion Alpha content, but this isn't something which just would affect the Legion Alpha, like, just the Legion Alpha. It would also affect, like, general alphas, like any alpha in a future WoW alpha, or if this has been the case for someone in previous alphas, or, you know, any game at all, which, might be experiencing the same issues as I've been having recently. It's something that really pisses me off. Now, we're going to be talking about, like, alpha and beta testers in common. Now, what is the purpose, what is the reason for a alpha/beta tester? Now, we're there to test the content. We're there to, you know, check things out, you know, find some bugs, report bugs. If there's something we think that we could improve, then, you know, we'll submit a suggestion to Blizzard Entertainment, or whoever you might be alpha or beta testing for, in order to help improve the game. That's like our job as alpha testers. Now, I'd say that personally, I think I've done a rather okay job with this. Like, for instance, on my Paladin, within the first hour of logging in on my Retribution Paladin on the Legion Alpha, I submitted 6 bug reports and 3 suggestions and so on. And that's our job. That's our job, to check out the content, to give feedback about the content. We're not there to play the game as if the game was released. And the amount of people thinking that is starting to piss me off. Now, I thought that when people first get an alpha invite, they would understand what alpha means. They would have understandings for what lies behind alpha and being an alpha tester, or beta for that part. And I have just recently been in a couple of dungeons on the Legion Alpha. I've been doing some Black or Cold, some of the Halls of Valor, more than anything else. I've been testing out the dungeons, not the newest ones though, but I've started stumbling into things on the Legion Alpha, which I thought I'd only see here on the live servers, but it turns out it's slowly but steadily creeping in on the Legion Alpha. And that is people just quitting dungeons. Now, keep in mind, it's alpha. It's alpha, and it will become, later on, it will be beta. And it implies that we're there to check things out and test them, not to leave after a wipe. And it gets on my nerve. It most likely gets especially on my nerve due to the fact that currently the dungeon system on the Legion Alpha isn't fully functional. And if someone ditches your group, then the dungeon tool can't find you a new member. But everyone and their mother currently knows this. So there's no way, like, I don't see how people at this moment, unless there's been, like, just the fresh out of the box beta wave that's gone just recently, I don't see how people not can know that the dungeon tool is currently broken. Like, everyone and their mother knows it. Like, I was informed about it as soon as it was, like, kind of discovered when I started up on the alpha, and everyone else I've done dungeons with ever since has known this. Now, also to put things in a bit of perspective, what I do the first time I was in one of the new dungeons on the Legion Alpha. Halls of Valor was my first dungeon. I joined. I said that, hi, I am new to this dungeon. I am going to read and / have read through the dungeon journal, but if any one of you guys have any tips or tricks, or, you know, got any clues for the bosses, then, you know, tell me, because I'm new. I don't want to cause wipes. And I had people who responded back to me. They told me that, oh yeah, I've done this boss before, you know, we do it this, we do it that, it's like, you gotta move there, you gotta move there. I read through the dungeon journal. I was prepared. I took initiative, and I was prepared. Now, I have seen people who haven't done this at all. People who thinks that it is, it's uncool. It is, you're not supposed to ask about how a boss works, because everyone just expects you to know. You don't do that on alpha. You don't do that on the alpha or the beta. You're not supposed to, like, just already know what's going on. You're there to test content down, so of course it would be a first for someone, especially since it is... You're inside this place, aren't you? Especially due to the fact that it is alpha and beta content. Now, I asked around, I received answers, and with the answers I got, I was able to help out throughout the dungeon, and managed to complete them. Now, that's good. That's a good thing. If you do that, if you ask around when you're a first timer, that's good. It's not bad. Then you have these people who just simply doesn't, and it's quite easily to distinguish them from the others, yes, but when you then, after a wipe, decide to leave the dungeon, it gets on my tits. It really, it gets on top of my tits. It really does. Because I don't think people who does that is suited for alpha beta testing. You're there to check out the content and give feedbacks, try out the different classes, the different specializations. So, why would you just so up and abrupt suddenly leave? Now, of course, I know that things may come along and happen, shit happens, then you die, I know, but, absolutely everyone and their mother that I've been standing around with that's done dungeons that has had to leave, they have told us, and it's fine, okay, we get it, some people have to leave. But it doesn't really look like there's an emergency situation which caused that you had to leave when you leave right after a wipe. It doesn't matter if it's a boss wipe or a trash wipe, I've seen them both, and I've seen people ditch the group for both. Now again, most likely wouldn't have been taking it so pissy in hadn't it been for that I know that I can't complete the dungeon. Especially not if an important role leaves, and it is usually the healer that leaves. I'm not sure what it is with healers on the alpha. I haven't counted how many dungeon groups I've had stopped because people has left. I really haven't checked that out. I haven't kept the count up. But I know that in most parts it's been healers that have left because we'd had to stop. If just the DPS had left, sure, we could have gone on. I have been part of formatting some of the dungeons because someone has left. But they have told us why. Some of them have told us why. And then there's these people who leave straight after a wipe. Now, I ask thee, why the fuck are you even on the alpha? If you're supposed to leave something, which is in a early mode, really early mode of test state, with unfinished scaling and everything, why would you leave? It's not like it means that we would have wiped there again and again and again. My most recent run, to give an example, I was in Halls of Valor. We had passed by the first boss and the first trash pack after the first boss. We got to the second trash pack after the first boss. I will agree, it's a bit of an angry trash pack, it is indeed, but completely doable. I was playing on my warrior, doing some DPS, and I noticed the tank was starting to drop low. Now, being the good person I am, I tried to avoid standing in shit, I moved out, I used Bloodthirst as much as I could to heal myself in order to, ease up for the healer. We still managed to die. Now, it wasn't anything wrong about it, and even, it's an angry trash pack, it is. And it is kinda expected to wipe there on certain occasions, especially if, people doesn't know how to move out with debuffs and so on. But we managed still to kill almost every one of the mobs. We, out of 6 mobs, I think it is, we managed to kill 4 of them. And then the healer leaves. What the actual fuck? And it really gets on top of my tits, because I don't see why these people even sign up for dungeons in the first place if a single little trash wipe it is what's supposed to cost them to leave. Now, obviously, we see the same thing here on the live servers, of course, in LFR, when, dungeon groups, not that there's a lot of people who would fail in dungeons these days, but yeah, in pugs, in LFRs, in random dungeon groups, in anything where there isn't a complete setup of organized people, such as mythic raiding. Well, it even exists mythic raiding pugs. Scary when I think about it. But yeah, it really, I don't see why they do that on these servers. Of course, if the entire group is completely shit, then sure. But this was a trash pull. And we killed 4 out of 6 mobs. Meaning that we would return to 2 mobs, not 6. And that would have been a walk in the park. Now, if this was the first person's round there, okay, then maybe sure. He didn't know that was the hardest trash pack, and maybe he just started expecting wipes. But how can you not expect wipes on a alpha content server? You even get a buff there. You even get a buff when you enter dungeons on the Legion Alpha, which says, thank you so much for trying out our alpha. Here, take this buff. You're now buffed to item level 810, I think it is. And you're also boosted up to level 110, your character level, and you do not pay any repair bills. You don't lose durability upon death. That's a pretty neat deal by Blizzard. I think that's pretty swell. It allows us to test out content. And once again, not everything is properly scaled. And even so, with all these things, which are baseline, they're I would call them mandatory for anyone and their mother who gets an invite to the alpha servers or beta servers or whatever, and not just for WoW, for any game, to expect that things aren't properly fixed. Things aren't... I have to talk to this one. Keep forgetting things. I haven't played a lot of Horde before. But yeah. It just pisses me off. It really does. Now, if anyone watching this video, if you should happen to get into Legion Alpha or Beta, or any other games Alpha or Beta, and you're in the dungeon, and you wipe on a trash pack or a boss, don't be the asshole that leaves. I know not all not all MMORPGs or other games for that part, you know, online games in general with multiple people. I know that all of them doesn't use like a queuing system like WoW does. Far from that. I mean that it might be easier for other games to replace people. As for currently on the Legion Alpha, it is impossible to replace. Again, might be something which adds up on the top of the fact that it gets a bit on your tits. But even so, when, once again, everyone and their mother should know that the dungeon tool is broken, and you're there to test content out, which is unfinished, unscaled, and you leave after a trash pack wipe, I don't know what to say. It just really gets on my nerves. It really, really, really does. I don't see why these people are even signing up for dungeons. I just don't. I just freaking don't. Oh, it just got me so pissed earlier today, and yesterday as well. I've been doing so many dungeons now in the Legion Alpha, testing out Warrior, Hunter, Paladin, Demon Hunter, and so on, and there's always like that you need to expect wipes. I've wiped, and I've been like, okay, yeah, sure, okay, let's get up and do that again. And then the healer or the tank leaves. And you're stuck there, because you can't get anyone else to join your dungeon, and unless you have a DPS which is capable of respecking, you're fucked. That's also one of, like, the bad parts so far. I'm not sure if that is intendedly done on the alpha, but I have on really, really rare occasions ever been in a dungeon group where we've had a secondary DPS that could respec healing. We've had enough of people who can respec for tank, but people who can respec healing, I have barely seen anything off. Again, not sure if that is intended, but even so, I don't see the reason why you're like on the alpha testing stuff out if you're gonna leave after a wipe. Yeah, I just don't see that. And this is like there's been like how much now? Oh, there you go. There's been like how many alpha waves now? 2-ish, 2 or 3. It was like first so-called friends and family wave, and then there was the more famous people like the high up YouTubers wave, and then they took in a lot of people who had 13 out of 30 mythic now recently. That's pretty much why I think I got the amount, because I'm a Darkemon mythic. So these are genuine people who really should know, who really should understand the concept, who really should get the gist behind what alpha content is. And when they then just straight up leaves a dungeon after a wipe, it pisses not just me, it doesn't just piss me off, it pisses the other alpha testers off too. And I tell you, DPS queues on that server, on the alpha server, is currently long. I've been signing as DPS because I don't play tank, I don't play healer because fuck that shit, it's too advanced for me. I'm playing a DPSer, easy and simple. And I've been signing up pretty much around the clock. And queue times are on average anywhere from between half an hour to multiple hours. Like just last night I was signed up in the queue for 2.5 hours before the queue popped. Now this is the thing for me as a DPSer. So any and all and their mother who plays DPS on the alpha server will of course get pissed when the dungeon system it can't re-find people. Then you have people who join after a long ass wait time, and what happens when people finally joins is that after a wipe, to be expected on these kind of servers, you have someone that just straight up fucking leaves. And you can't get anywhere from there. Again, if you don't have anyone in the group that can respec for the needed roles of a healer or a tank, if that's the ones that leaves, then you're fucked. Again, you can do a group without full DPSers. And I made sure you can do, like, maybe some of the new dungeons without a healer. Like, guardian druids are, like, stupidly OP. But you don't get that guardian druid every time. You don't. And then you're done fucked. Then you're screwed. You're not getting anywhere from there. I just don't see why. Like, if I were to know these people's motive, then maybe I wouldn't react so much, because I would like to know. Like, once again, if something happens in real life, I'm pretty sure that instead of, like, just randomly, because that was the exact moment you got the text message saying that, oh, grandma's dying, you need to come and tell her you love her. If that so happens, at the same point you trash wipe, like the just after everyone has died from the trash. That's like during the trash you got the text message. So you pressed escape and exit game right after the trash wipe. If that's your case, then okay. But how come you can't tell us? I really doubt. I really, really, really doubt. There's a lot of people in this world that would suddenly, randomly, right after a trash pull out of everything, or trash pull, trash wipe, or boss wipe for that part, who would suddenly have to go. Sayonara, I can't do this. I can't take it anymore. I just have to leave right now. Yeah, but you could tell us? Don't you think? I mean, like, even if you told us, okay, sure, you left, and the dungeon is most likely screwed if you're playing an important role. But even so, even fucking so, you told us why. We got a notification, you informed us. You told us that I am leaving because Grandma's dying. I really don't think those 4 seconds is gonna do the difference. If they do, then shoot me. But I really don't think those 4 fucking seconds is going to make for that difference. Really don't think so. So it just, yeah, it just got on my nerves. It really, really got on my nerves. Long ass hours in the queue time. You pop in, let's go do this. Let's go do dungeon. Let's go test something out, people. Have fun bugs in dungeons too. Of course, it's alpha. You report them. You tell the Blizzard what's wrong. And what do you get in return? Is assholes leaving the group? Before the dungeon is even fucking over? Yeah, charge me, you dick. Put you to sleep now. Just get on my nerves. Just really does. You can't spare those 3 seconds. Or 4. Maybe 5. And if you can't use, I'm not gonna say waste, because it's not called wasting. If you can't use 5 seconds of your life to tell the group you're currently in dungeon with that, sorry, I need to take my leave because something's about to happen, then you know what? Just, all in all, reconsider things. Because you should be completely capable of telling us why you leave. Once again, on currently live dungeon pugs, or raid pugs mostly, when you pull Archimon, and there's like, the description says, oh, 725, one-shot group, link cutting edge for Archimon, normal please, and you wipe, I can see why people would leave. But how they managed to leave with those criteria in Archimon normal, that's a bit of a mystery to me, but I can semi-see it. It's released content. You need released content, not contents, but it's released content. You kind of need to expect that there's going to be some assholes who's just going to straight up leave and just ditch it. But on alpha servers, beta, alpha servers, you really shouldn't need to sit down and join a dungeon and go into the expectations of that someone is going to leave the fucking group. You really shouldn't need to, because it's alpha. It's beta, we're there to test. We're not there to see measly wipe and then just move on by leaving the group. Now, I didn't add this people, so I didn't check if they were online, like 2 seconds afterwards, to be able to call them out on, hey, you left, but you're not online. Bullshit are you doing? I didn't do that. Because that level of stalking and follow-up, it just really isn't... Okay, I'm joking, no, it kind of is my thing. But I decided not to do so, because I wanted to smile. But yeah, I just don't see it. And if anyone watching this video has received, or will receive in the future, an invite to it not just be World of Warcraft Alpha, or like Alpha or Beta content, but any other game, don't just fucking leave groups, man! It's annoying. Gotta find new people. And then again, for this current situation on the Legion Alpha, you can't find new people because the dungeon system is screwed. And I'm not gonna complain about the dungeon system being screwed. That's to be expected. It's Alpha. things aren't fixed. And when you go into a game where the entire expectation of the game is that we're here to test, it's not fixed yet, then why would you leave a group after a measly wipe? Like, if anyone in the comment section down below could come and, like, give me a really legitimate reason, and don't give me bullshit like, oh, I can't be bothered to be in this dungeon group and wipe. It's alpha. It's a bit different from our current live servers. On these servers, if you're in the group that wipes again and again and again and again on a raid pug, and you would like to get that boss kill, you know, before you turn 100, then yeah, sure, I get ya. But this is alpha content. Dungeons, nonetheless. I haven't tested the raids yet, and haven't been able to see if there's anyone doing the same thing in raid testing groups, because I know Ursoc, the bear encounter from the Nightmare Dream, is open at the moment, but I haven't tested that out. And I'm not sure if people are just ditching that, but if they are, fuck them. You're there to check things out. You're there to test. Things aren't finished. And yet you left the group because you wiped once. Do that on pugs here, on live servers. I really am not going to discuss a lot and bring it up as a giant topic, because I know we're never going to get rid of that on the current live servers. There's no way that we can get rid of that bad habit, I'm going to call it a bad habit, of leaving a group after the first wipe. But on alpha servers, it is expected to wipe. You need to go in with that intuition. You can't enter a alpha or beta content game and be like, oh, everything's working flawlessly and everything's perfectly scaled, everything's perfectly balanced. It's going to be like walking in a park. We're going to get gear. And here's the thing. Gear you currently get from Legion Alpha dungeons is set to level 110. Your cap level is 106. You can't even use the gear. So there's no shit like, I want to move on to new group because I'm not going to get gear fast enough in this group. You can get artifact power stones. Yeah, sure you can. But I don't see why you want to farm dungeons for them, because I had managed to fill out the trait tree on my Retribution Paladin was. By the time I was level 103. And dungeons give so little XP that if you've been spamming them since you started and you got your artifact weapon, then you should be able to have a full 8 out of 8 talented artifact weapon on current Legion Alpha build by level 101, maybe 102, depending on how lucky you are with the drops. I just don't really see it. And that's something which is going to keep on getting on my nerves until the day it is answered for, because again, I would really like to know why people can't use 4 seconds, 5 seconds maybe max, to just okay, let's see here. Gotta go. Grandma is dying. Right. That didn't take more than maximum 5 seconds to write. You don't need to write a novel for why you have to leave the group. That makes it look even... I'm sorry to say it, but the longer you write of the excuse of why I have to go, the more it sounds like a scheme plotted up in order to be able to go. Keep the reason short. Just tell us why, give us a reason. I'm not going to go so much out about it. But when you just flat out leave, right after a wipe, nonetheless, it gets on my nerves. It really does. It really, really, really does. I couldn't imagine doing that. I don't see why I ever should. Like, I mean, like, I don't know how many wipes I've been part of now in dungeon groups. There hasn't been a lot. There's been a few. It's been enough to piss me off when people leave. Especially those with designated important roles. I mean, like, at the moment, with item level 740 fucking something, to do the release dungeons, since, you know, there's been no other dungeons added in this expansion, to do a dungeon with maybe just 1 DPS, sure, it's fine. But this is unscaled, unfinished alpha content. You kinda need the rolls. Again, I'll openly admit that if you have a Guardian Druid, then you should be fine without a healer, because Guardian Druids are just stupidly OP. But with that exception, unless you have a Guardian Druid, and someone that might be able to off-heal a bit, then you're stuck. You're screwed. And it's rude. It's rude, most of all, to those others testing the beta content out, or the alpha content. They've spent time waiting to get into this thing to see how it is, to check it out, to go over. You can't spot all the flaws with things by the first dungeon run. Of course you can't. You gotta go back and check some more. That's why people do it again and again, or to test out other classes or other specs for their class. That's the reason. And when people then just, nope, I'm too good for this shit, it gets on my nerves. It so fucking gets on my nerves. I've said it gets on my nerves so many times in this video that if I ever were to make a compilation, I would have to make a compilation especially for this video about what gets on my nerves. Because it isn't much, but it's one of those few things that really, really shouldn't happen. But yeah, that's my heart all out on alpha and beta testers ditching groups, especially current Legion alpha content build, where you should know by now that the frickin' dungeon tool is not fixed. And if you leave a group as a healer or a tank, they're most likely going to get screwed. Yep, that's pretty much it. That concludes that little rant. Now, thank you all so much for watching, my fellow gamers. Once again, I must almost kind of apologize for the contents of the video. It just got me so pissed, and yeah, it just got me pissed. And when I get pissed, I like expressing myself regarding things that I get pissed off about, because of the simple reason that if I don't get it out there somewhere, then it's gonna tick up and it's gonna fucking explode someday. I was planning on doing some kind of rant videos in, you know, rant video style, in other ways also. But I think we'll start out with this and see where it goes. Now, if you happen to be a alpha or beta tester, or you hope to become one, or you don't hope to become one, but you understand what alpha and beta testing is about, why don't you leave me a comment if you want to, and tell me a bit of why you would agree with me, or why I wouldn't. And if you don't agree with me, don't you worry, I'm not going to be that asshole YouTuber deleting comments because they disagree with what I said in the video. We have our own free wills. We do. But leaving dungeons on the alpha without telling why when the tool is bugged doesn't justify the free will aspect, because you're just genuinely being a douche. And being a douche on free will, that's just being an asshole. But yeah, that's going to conclude that for this video, my fellow gamers. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, my fellow gamers, and until the next time, have a good one.